Okay, today I wanted to talk a little bit about how to memorize a standard. A lot of my students ask me what's a good way to memorize a standard, and this is the method I've used for quite some time, so I'll go through it step by step. Let's just jump right in. The first thing I have students do is find their favorite versions of the standard. These are recordings that you can find online or in your collection of LPs or CDs or MP3s. Finding at least 4 or 5 of these is a good starting point. After finding your favorite versions of the song you're trying to learn, listening to these songs many times is the first step to learning the song. You need to be familiar with the melody and the harmonic progression by ear, just through saturation or osmosis, listening repeatedly to the recordings and becoming very familiar with the sounds that comprise the song. The next step can be approached 2 different ways. You can transcribe the recording that you like. You can transcribe the melody and the chord progression. If this is too challenging, you can use a lead sheet. I would encourage you to find a lead sheet that is commonly used in the jazz community. You could ask an older player if the changes and the melody look correct. That will help you find a lead sheet that is appropriate to the song and the way it's actually played. A good example is a song like Stella by Starlight, which has many different sets of chord changes that have developed over the years, but our common way of playing the progression in the jazz community was canonized more or less by Miles Davis's version. And so that is the version I think you should learn first, as it will be the way most people play it at jam sessions and on gigs. So in this example, I'm going to use the song All the Things You Are, which is a very common standard that all of us need to know, and most of us do. So after finding 4 or 5 of your favorite versions and listening to them repeatedly, you next transcribe the melody and chord progression, or use a lead sheet to start to digest the song. The way I recommend digesting the song is very simple and what I call passive learning. You record yourself playing the melody of the song and the root motion of the song on your instrument of choice, and you sing along to that. The bass melody or root motion is the most abstract aspect of this practice. Sometimes the bass line can be more challenging than the melody because it moves in bigger intervals. If you're working on a bebop song, then the melody, of course, will be more challenging. I would also encourage you to record this play along that you will sing to at a very slow tempo, especially if it's a bebop song like Donnelly or Confirmation. As slow as 40 BPMs would be appropriate for these harder bebop songs. In this case, with the song All the Things You Are, the melody is fairly simple and straightforward, so you could probably record this at 80 BPM and as fast as 120. Basically finding a comfortable tempo that allows you to sing all the pitches in tune with the play along. The reason I call this passive learning is that you're just matching pitches with the recording that you've made. It doesn't take much effort to do this, and it's very easy to internalize the melody and root motion with very little effort, just through repetition. So now I'll walk you through the process of creating the sing-along that you'll use to learn the song deeply by ear. I've just used iRealB to create the backing track, and I'm going to play the piano to enter the notes of the melody. I'm going to play the melody in a very simple and clear fashion without jazz rhythms, just as it's written in this lead sheet. This will help you internalize the sound, and eventually you'll play the rhythm more naturally based on the lyrics or simply how you like to embrace the melody over the harmony. So you get the idea. Once you're done with the recording, then you have a very simple way to practice the melody. You'll simply put that recording on a loop and sing along to it. You can do this while you're driving, taking a walk, doing the dishes. It's a very easy way to learn and internalize the melody of the song in a very passive way. It's the same way we learn language. We listen to our parents speak as children, and we slowly internalize the language. So this is a very easy way to learn a song. It's also very effective once you can hear it as well as you can hear Happy Birthday. You'll always be able to fish out the melody from your mind, no matter what key it's in, because you really do know the melody deeply. So the next step is to do the same thing with the bass motion. I'll demonstrate a little bit of that so you get the idea of how you create the play along. You're going to put the bass melody up several octaves so that it's in a range that you can sing. This makes it easy to internalize the root motion because it's in a range you can sing, and then you'll begin to recognize it in those lower octaves when you hear it. So you get the idea. You're just going to be playing the root motion in a range that you can sing it. You do the same thing, you put that on repeat and you sing it many times. What I usually do is make a sing-along that has the melody for the first chorus and the root motion for the second chorus, and I put that on a loop and sing to it. A lot of times in bar 6, people put a 2-5-1 to C major. I prefer 5 to 1 there as it continues the fourth pattern. In any case, you can use whatever chord progression you prefer to use as long as it's in the ballpark of what's considered common practice. As an added layer of artistry, you can learn the lyrics to the song. Lee Konitz used to emphasize this as an important element to improvisation, knowing the lyrics so that you can learn how to phrase the melody in an intelligent and logical way. At the very least, just read through the lyrics so you understand what the story's about. So the lyrics are actually a love song, and interestingly enough, we play this as a fast up-tempo tune nowadays, when in reality this is clearly a ballad. Regardless, when you play the song, you can think of these lyrics, and it will help you phrase the melody in a very logical and organic way. According to my research, players like Ben Webster used to think of the lyrics while they played the melody. Now that you've made your play-along that includes the melody and the bass line, you simply practice singing along to that. I'll demonstrate that once so you get the idea. It's very simple. You're just going to do pitch matching as best you can. For this example, I'll use the I Real Be backing track. My saxophone will be playing the melody to the song, and then the bass melody or root motion after that. Alright, now we'll do the bass motion. Before we do, I'll just mention that the range for the song may be too high or too low. This is pretty high for me, and yet if I try to sing it down the octave, the bridge gets too low, particularly the last 4 bars of the bridge. So I end up having to sing this up an octave. Just to be clear, you're using this just to internalize the sound of the song through singing. You don't need to be a good singer. You certainly don't need to sing perfectly in tune. You're trying to get the aural image into your mind, and the voice is the fastest and most accurate way to do that. Here's the root motion. Okay, so you get the idea, just singing the root motion. And I would like to mention that when I have to go up a tritone, I often go up the triad and down a half step. Ba, 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 ba. That helps me get the tritone in tune, or at least close to in tune. You can do different tricks like that. You can walk up a third if things move by third. You can walk up a half step if things move by whole step. There's different little tricks to help you get to the next root with some success. Eventually you will be able to hear those roots independently of needing any crutch, and that's the goal. It's just to hear the root motion as a melody, as a bass melody. Once you've done this for several weeks, you should have the melody and the chord progression internalized. It may take longer for some people, it may take less time for others. You'll always be able to remember the melody by doing this way, even if you lose the muscle memory for the melody. I call this getting the message of the song. Once you have the message, you know the song internally, and you can always reteach it to yourself by ear. You'll know you have internalized the melody and root motion or root melody once you can sing it a cappella without the play along and end up basically in the same key with very little slippage. In other words, without very much change of pitch. Once you can do that, bring the melody to your horn or your instrument of choice and learn by ear the melody on your instrument. This should be very easy at this point, and you should be able to start it on any note and play it through on any key slowly, fishing out the notes by ear. At that point, repetition will develop the muscle memory needed to perform it at tempo. This is Matt Otto. I'm a tenured professor at Kansas University. I hope you found this video valuable. If you did, please leave a message. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.